Okay, good. We are live once again after briefly a break for vacations. And hello everyone. Security Breath podcast here. This is the 22nd episode, yeah, and I'm so glad to have here with me Mason. Hi, Mason. How are you?
Hi. Good afternoon, good morning to everyone. So I believe we are in the different time zone.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone have a good time.
Yeah, we were just, briefly discussing about it. I love the fact that we can reach out to so many people, in many different regions. I know it can be tricky for someone with, maybe we're live during the night for someone out there. But, just very, very small reminder. So this is the Security Bread podcast, just a little project of mine where I invite cool people like Mason here to discuss about some recent stories from the security realm. And this is, of course, live on YouTube. If you're there, watching this live, please consider, subscribing and hitting that notification button, because you're just letting me know that you like this and I should do more. So it's a feedback that I will really really appreciate. But if you're not able to watch this live, of course, this is going to be uploaded. The recordings are going to be uploaded on YouTube itself. But also, I'm gonna take the audio and re-upload this on Spotify and other podcast platforms. So just so you know. So thank you if you're going to watch this live. But Mason, maybe someone doesn't know you. So would you like to introduce yourself, maybe?
So first of all, uh, thanks for this opportunity. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. And thanks for the whole audience to taking their time and joining us for this podcast. So I am Isam Aslahi. I'm a cybersecurity practitioner at the moment, working as the executive director for the old blue team and red team related service line with the EC Council Global Services. which is the consultancy division of the EC Council family. So 20 years in the IT, 16 dedicated to the cybersecurity, mainly in the threat hunting, incident response, digital forensic, red teaming, and penetration testing. In my free time, I do this kind of activities also to share the knowledge with the others and also gain the knowledge from the others. So I do YouTube, Nothing Cyber, and at the moment I'm doing the series on the Threat Hunting 101 for the beginners. And I'm super active in the LinkedIn, so feel free to connect and we can have more potential collaborations. So thanks again for the opportunity.
No problem at all. Actually, thanks to you for joining me and accepting the invite. So an invite to all the people watching this. You have the YouTube chat in there. Please, use that to comment, ask questions, and contribute to the discussion, because that's the main objective of this project, right? I'm gonna discuss some news together with Mason, but I really would like to include all of the people watching this in the conversation, because I really think that the value is on the background and the knowledge and the skills that all of the people discussing can put in the conversation itself. So we will have a look at the chat. So if you are gonna comment, we can also interact with you guys. So thank you for that. Cool. So here's the plan. I'm gonna share my screen with some news we selected from the last, I don't know, 7 to 10 days around, and I'm gonna introduce them. Then we will start having a little discussion about it. So here we go. Here's the first one.
So
Okay.
before we continue, I would like just to highlight a very typical disclaimer that whatever I share here is my own opinion and nothing to do with my current employer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually very good. I never do that, but I should definitely. And anyway, I just forgot to say that Mason contacts will be shared on the description of the YouTube video. So I don't know, his LinkedIn profile or whatever is going to be there. So have a look at the description after the live is gone. Cool. So let's start with this. This was actually pretty big in the news just last week or something. So I really say we have to talk about this because it's interesting to see. Okay, this was big, but why? And what are all of the different implications in the news itself, right? So the story itself is talking about the U.S. SEC organization that apparently is some financial regulator, okay, and about their Twitter, or I should say X account right now, that was compromised. Okay, so we don't have much information about how the account itself was compromised. They mentioned something about the phone number that is connected to the account that was compromised. So I'm assuming, this is just an assumption, but I'm assuming some sort of SIM swap attack that in the US especially it's pretty common. If you don't know this, Mason, I actually like to explain every acronym or any term that we use, right? So if you don't know about this, SIM swap is some kind of attack that basically targets your own service provider and your own phone number, okay, where they try to reassign your phone number to the attacker's identity, so they can use your phone number on a new SIM instead of you. When they do this, if, for example, you're using your phone number for second factor authentication for any account out there, right, you can receive the one-time password or just the code instead of the real owner of the account, right? And as I said, it's pretty common for the US, unfortunately. Not sure why. Maybe because of the controls that are in place at the service provider level, I think. So again, just an assumption, but that could be the case. Now, the thing was that the X account was compromised, and the attackers or scammers or whatever use the accounts to post some messages regarding some approval about bitcoins or cryptocurrency ETFs, something. The point was that they basically manipulated the cryptocurrency market. So many people watched looked at the post on Twitter, and then decided, oh, maybe I should buy more cryptocurrency or more Bitcoin. So the price skyrocketed for a bit. So that's the thing. The point is that this was a very, very official and formal organization, and the account on X is the public image of that organization in the US. So it's a very big, I would say, image damage for them, for sure. And the fact that they were able to manipulate a financial market of some kind, where when this organization itself, it's a um, financial regulator, it's a pretty big deal. Now, I will probably focus on a few things here. First of all, is it really a big deal? Like, what I mean is that this account was probably held by some I don't know, social media manager or something. It's not really an internal account. So I would like to discuss about this thing right here with you, Mason, and what they could have done to maybe to prevent it, or what they could have done different, right, compared to what happened. So I'd like to see what's your first thought about this. What did
So
you think about when you read this?
this is a very good question, that this is the significant incident or not. To me, yes, because the people or authority behind that account is not like normal user like me. That so if I open my social media now and put something, so the chance that I'm going to affect any market or any things in the social life or anything is almost zero. But when you are attached to the organization, to the authorities, to the decision makers, everything matters when it goes to the social media, especially the comments like this. As you highlighted, a simple comments about a new rules that's supposed to get some approval or disapproval, faked and put up on that account that says that okay, this is approved, and because of that there is a high spike in the Bitcoin market. So, having said that, uh, when it comes to the cybersecurity, normally we are always focusing on the assets, and
Yeah,
especially we look for the high value assets and start to taking strategies to protect them. I always try to say is that behind every assets there is a user. So, in addition to the high value assets, we should take care of the high risk users as well. The users who access to those data, work with that data, or somehow have impact on the business or social life or even the commercial life. So, having said that, even if that account is controlled by admin, so monitoring the account as a high value asset alone is not enough. We definitely should take care of the user behind that account, which is considered as a high risk user. Most probably he's the one who has that phone number and the phone get somehow hijacked, and the attacker can manipulate and do the man in the middle for the two-factor authentication and get access to the Twitter account
yeah,
or
that's
X
that's
account. We are still not used to.
no problem. That's right. And you said something that really triggered me. The fact that we all in the industry always say, oh, if you have to start securing your organization, you first need to know which are and where are your assets, right? And most of the time we are always referring to devices, machines, hosts, or whatever you want to call them. So you want to know where your servers are, either in on premises or in the cloud, or if you have any organization handled maybe mobile devices, or any other thing. But you're right in saying that also, especially with cloud technologies nowadays, accounts are another type of asset that is really, really crucial. But I think this is also on another level, right? Even if you say so, and an admin starts to discover whatever accounts they are using in their environment, this is something pretty separated from it, right? This is an account on Twitter, and like, who is really doing that? Are we really saying to our sysadmins that they have to ask every employees if they have some company related social account on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever? And is that responsibility of the security team, or even the IT team, or whatever? I think that's something, maybe someone is doing it, and I hope so, right? But I think that's something that we are probably, as an industry, right, a little, forgetting about.
So
It's
actually, this
completely
should be this.
separated.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
no, it's completely separated from your environment. You're not really managing it, but still, it's something that is directly correlated with the company. So technically,
Yeah,
right, we should
yeah.
take care about it.
Exactly. This is what I try to highlight it since 2020. I had that topic in the one of the DEF CON conferences also. I talking about something called Scope X. Because as a
Mm.
consultant, I realized that in every project, we heavily rely on the scope. We said, okay, this is the scope of the devices that we want to analyze for whatever reason. And this is out of the scope, whatever we believe is not less significant to be analyzed. But there is a third scope. I call it scope X, and this is called unknowns. And this is kind
Mm.
of the information that, especially after the pandemic and rapid digitalization and transformation, digital transformations, there are a lot of online activities, and user may probably use their own device to do their company related task also. So the huge amount of the information related to the work and daily activities are there, and I'm not sure if anyone really monitoring them. So this is where I think our threat intelligence team should come to the picture, that
Okay.
proactively go and use a different techniques like the threat feed, threat intelligence techniques, the OSINT, to collect all the informations that somehow related and may have impact on our business, and then do a very simple threat modeling to try to discover and identify the potential risk. For example, in this case, so I think it's pretty practical if we do the proactive, like the threat hunting or red teaming, to come to check whether the phone is secure, the configurations are there. Because when we use the third party, or for example, cloud, we cannot say 100% we are secure. So the
Mm.
problem with the cloud environment is that operation-wise is perfect. So we are just up in the cloud, everything operation is good until the incident happen. There are a lot of blind spots there, because being on the cloud is something, whether our cloud configured well is another thing. So we should have both of these things on the picture, and as a part of the overall cybersecurity strategy.
Absolutely. And we actually have like another news that is around the same topic. So we will go back to that in a bit. So again, this is very interesting. And as you said, I think threat modeling is the key here, right? If someone is really determining, okay, what are the risks that my organization is really facing? And of course, they'll get to know, okay, we actually have some social presence on different maybe social media, and we are this type of company, right? Could be something like this. But this same article, actually, I'm gonna share the links of the articles in the description, by the way, if you want to maybe read them yourself. Actually, you definitely should just not stick to what we are saying. Do your own research, do your own make your own opinions. That's very, very important. So what I was saying is that the article is actually mentioning another event that affected, I believe, Mandiant, or I think so. So another company who faced the same thing. So their Twitter or X profile was compromised, right? So it's not something
Exactly.
that only the SIC is facing.
And this is very important things. So when something happened for another company, we should not sit and think, oh, it's never happened for us. Maybe we are the next. So when we have that intelligence, our threat hunting team should formulate the hypothesis around that, go and check all the potential attack surfaces, entry point to our organization, and proactively check without the things happen.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just to confirm, yeah, just read it. It was Mandiant.
Mhm.
Uh, Around the same time, actually, I think a week or so before, their X account was compromised as well, and that time was a little different because the attacker shared a link to steal some cryptocurrencies. So the kind of threat was just a little different, but once again, they were targeting a social media account. Maybe, I don't know, Mandate is for sure a very, very, secure company because they are in the security industry. But still, this is something that is just a little separated from their internal environment or their cloud environment. I don't know even how to, consider the social media accounts itself. It's not really cloud. It's something on a third party platform, and it's very tricky. So definitely, anyone potentially could face this kind of issues. Definitely could be a big image damage for the organization, and it's probably the goal of the security team understand that that's one of the risks, right, that the
Mhm.
organization is facing, and consider that as well. I think that's the problem. Now, in how to prevent it, that's going to be tricky, in my opinion. For sure, the automatic thing that comes to my head is that you should implement the multi-factor authentication that anyone is implementing right now, or any social media platform you can do that. So if you can do that, you probably should. Um and I think at some point Twitter said that they ran their own investigations, and the account had not the MFA enabled in this case. So maybe that could have been a way to prevent it, but also it really depends on, I think, which medium you use for the multi-factor authentication. Because once again, we were talking about SIM swap and attackers messing around with your phone number. If you use your phone number and maybe an SMS for your multi-factor authentication, maybe that's not the best way to do it. I
No,
mean,
it's
it's
exactly
probably
remind me that typical example that when the server crash and we ask for the update for the backup is in the same server. So exactly you
right.
highlighted the good point. So the article says that the 2FA was not activated. Even if it was activated, it depends, as you said, in which medium. So if I have a double authentication factor and by chance it's based on the SMS, so and my phone number already compromised, so the attacker can easily read that to multiple to factor authentication as well because he has a control of our messages.
Right. So just before we jump on the next news, I
Uh-huh.
saw a comment in the chat from Fabio. By the way, hi Fabio, you're always there. Thank you for that. So he's basically asking, what if I don't have a dedicated threat intelligence team in my organization to do all of the research and threat intel and maybe threat modeling as well, and I'm in a very small team and I have to do a lot of stuff already, right? So how can I, um, uh, address this? What would you say, Mason?
So that's a very good question because this is what we currently practice as well. So when it comes to the threat intelligence and security, first of all, we shouldn't think about $100,000 solutions that may be difficult for the SMEs, small to medium sized companies to to purchase. First of all, there is no 100% security. When we said we should have a threat intelligence and monitor everything, definitely we cannot monitor everything. We can be 100% secure. We just should make life harder for the attackers. As long as we are not low hanging fruits, as long as we can not be the easy target for the attackers, I think that's a good step. So for that, there are plenty of the open source and free tools that can be easily installed and do the automate for you. So we just need to install to key in our keyword that we want to search and like a daily daily monitoring. I don't want to whitelist any tool here, but in my LinkedIn day to day, I post a lot of tools, and all of them open source, all of them free to use, that can easily help you to monitor and at least to deal with the known knowns. So, because we should automate what we know, to be honest, by one of my friend Charles always says that we should automate what we know and we focus on the what we don't know. At least 80% of this stuff we may be able to detect by using the simple monitoring. Like just we highlighted, the same attack happened for the other companies. So a simple threat intelligence tell us about this issue may ring the bell in our mind to go and check, are we vulnerable to the same issue or not? So we don't need to necessarily think big. Even if we start with a small and piece by piece we form a puzzle, that would be good. The main important thing is that we should do something and proactively,
Hmm. And
not just sit until something happen and then we go to the war room and said, okay, what to do now?
no, I perfectly agree with you, especially with the thing that, we talk a lot about everything we should do, but we know that's not always possible, and we cannot do everything. And the point for me is establishing some priorities based on your specific company, right? Maybe your company has an high risk on protecting their social media accounts. Maybe another one doesn't have any, or do not really use them. So it depends on your company. And if I can just make a very, very pretty smaller suggestion, the point is that maybe if you're watching this, right, if you are reading this news, and if you know that this is happening to other companies, this is already just a little bit of research, right? The fact that you are aware that this is a kind of threat that your company or other companies could face, it's the first step, right? And then you could decide whether this could be a high priority for your company or not, and maybe start a project or a list of the activities, to target that specifically. So I really think it's very important to dedicate some time for every single professional to inform themselves, to read what's happening out there. And I think this is one of the big goals of this project as well. We are not only reading all together, but we are also discussing about it to understand it better, right? So I can read this by myself, but just the fact that I'm talking about it with Mason and with you guys, I think it's much, much better than by myself. So thank
Yeah,
you, thank you for being here.
yeah, as we said, we can just start with a small. Just read like 5 to 10 minutes daily about top security news, think and apply. For example, the day that you share, uh, Giorgio, the news for me, the first thing I check, I went to my Twitter account to double check that whether the SMS base is is enabled or not. So thanks God it not. So, for example, this news tell us about multi-factor authentication. A simple research tell us there are three ways: either SMS or phone-based, email-based, or application-based. A simple research help us to identify which one is more secure. Imagine if we have like 4 to 5 news daily and then think and then we act, we are still not 100% secure, but definitely every day we are more secure than yesterday.
Yeah, a little better than yesterday, and that's
Exactly.
already something. That's already good. Cool. Not that this was not interesting, but we really need to jump to the next news just to move forward. So here's the second one. I really thought this was so interesting, and we're still talking about a little Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but nowadays maybe I don't know. Unfortunately, we are always yeah, discussing about it when we're talking about threats and cybersecurity. But this is a little different. So basically, once again in the U.S. in California, a man who really was targeted by an attack against their cryptocurrency wallet on I think it was Coinbase or one of those exchanges. Lost around $100,000 in cryptocurrency, and he is now trying to regain at least some of those financial losses. So the interesting thing is that, doing some investigation together with their lawyer, they found out that which was the final Bitcoin address which received the amount of money that was stolen from this person. Okay, and again, if you don't know this already, it's true that the blockchain and the cryptocurrency technologies are some way anonymizing you, but they are not anonymizing the transactions. Actually, you are able to look at them and exactly see where the money is going from and to. Okay, so there are some companies that are doing that. They are tracking transactions and trying to understand who's behind those wallets. It's not there. There's not name and surname for each address, but at least you can see exactly where the money is going from and to. Now they got where the money went eventually, so they identified an address in the Bitcoin blockchain, and the point is that they wanted to sue the attacker who did this. The point is that, at least for the U.S. legislation, you have to communicate to the person you are suing that you are doing it, right? And usually what you would have done will be something like go in person, right? And give some papers to them. Or recently you could have sent an email just to say, I'm basically suing you, just for you to know. But in this case, you don't know what's behind the address, right? You don't know who to communicate this. The thing is that the person here who was granted the permission to use the blockchain itself to do that. What does it mean? They basically sent a payment to that address because they know the address, even if they don't know the name of the person. So they sent something like $100 in Bitcoin, and there's an option in the Bitcoin blockchain that you permits you to add a message or just some metadata, or a string of something in it, and they basically included a link to the paper for the case. Okay, so the point is that they were able to sue someone without really knowing who that person is. And I think this is already pretty interesting by itself. Like, we really thought, okay, you're anonymous, so no one can really address you in any way. So apparently in the US, you can start to do that, even if you're just moving cryptocurrency. And there was another thing here that was interesting. Just the fact that they basically know that that specific address is already investigated by the government agencies in the US, right? The point is that, and I think this is interesting, we read a lot about police or some agencies um, gathering cryptocurrencies or money that were stolen, and we celebrate that, right? Because they did catch someone, they did recover some money or something. But what we don't know or we don't think about is that money even uh, given to the right people after that, or just it's seized by the attackers, from the attackers, and then no one is really considering, okay, I will take this money that were stolen and we'll give it back to someone. That's a little tricky, and it's not anyone's fault, of course. It's just very, very difficult with bureaucracy and everything. Start to give that money back to the right people, because you have to ensure it was actually those people money. But I think it's an interesting topic, especially for us, that we usually just focus on the technological part of it, right? But the point is that people are losing their savings, that people are losing their money, so there are consequences behind this kind of attacks. Now, again, there's a lot about it. We are talking once again about a sim swapping attack. So maybe that could be interesting already. But I want to hear your first thoughts about it. What do you think, Mason?
So again, this is a good example of the being lazy when it comes to the cybersecurity. So we are users, and by nature, we like ease of use.
Mm,
So
right.
we use the same password in the different platform. We don't like to key in a few more steps to log into our account. So the same user in the same platform, if using a proper, again, multi-factor authentication, means a second medium, more than just username and password, he could have saved that money. So when it comes to the cybersecurity, we have three angles that we have to take care: the ease of use, cost, and functionality. And we should always sacrifice one for
Mhm.
the sake of the other two. So personally, I think if we bother ourselves daily a little bit by having more security controls there, sacrifice the ease of use, we and a little bit of functionality, we can enjoy to have more security. This is not only for this account. I have been discussing with a lot of friends last week that even the Instagram account get hijacked for the
Mm,
same reason. So
okay.
it's yeah. So I think it's really should be a common practice amongst the security awareness for especially the normal users to just put more security controls in place. Yeah, we sacrifice ease of use, but we may enjoy security more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, once again, this type of this type of attack was targeting, the cryptocurrency exchange platform, right, in the account of the specific person. And even if the person thinks, okay, I'm secure because I've enabled MFA, the thing is that once again, we are talking about multi-factor authentication. So you're not using just your credentials, just your password. You're also using a third, at least a third, element. So account, password, and then something like, it could be your phone number where you receive an SMS, but it could be like an application on your smartphone that generates those one-time codes that you have to type in every time. The thing is that so many platforms are still using and enabling users to use the SMS as a way to implement multi-factor authentication, but that's really it was exploited so many times, and it's known in the security industry that it's not really a secure way to do it. It's better than nothing for sure, but the point is that I think that probably the platforms should stop, to enable that from the very beginning, because if it's not really secure, right, there's no reason in order in permitting that. Just force users to use other means. So maybe, I don't know, the application on the smartphone, or even sometime you can use a hardware token, right? That they will send you, or that maybe you have to purchase. Um, that's that's much more secure. There's no SIM swap, attack that can target that. Of course, there will be other specific attacks that also target those, but they are more complicated and less effective, let's say. No. Now, I don't know if you have an opinion on this. Like, should we enable? I don't know. Maybe the more old people who are not really so comfortable in using smartphones and everything to receive an SMS, or should we force those same people to learn how to use maybe an app for the sake of his own security, right?
So that's another traditional classic questions that what to do, because most of the time when we bring more security, it may more put barrier for the some certain of the people which is not in the very high level of the knowledge about the IT and stuffs. So, and unfortunately, this is the fact that we have to sacrifice security for functionality and for the customer experience. But another thing that I would like to highlight here, that so far the way that we discuss is like we put all the blame on the on the users. I think this is responsibility of the service providers as well. So uh, to me, it's very weird that these things happen because it's against the normal baseline monitoring, especially for the big companies. So if I notice that my users connect with this trusted device for this geographical location, and then out of the sudden I have out of the time from the another device from the another location, I think there should be some certain of the security check with the companies as well. And it's quite surprised me for those big companies or financial institution that just okay, this user connect from another device miles away from his current unusual location, and they were just fine with that.
Yeah, that's really true actually. And
Yeah,
I
how
think
is that
the
possible?
I mean, there could be some reasons. I'm not gonna, say everything, but I think they also considered that because the guy here also sued Coinbase itself because of the same
Mhm,
reason. Like there
mhm,
were some, uh, as they say, some clear evidences that it was not me accessing my own wallet, right?
mhm,
So they should have prevented it or just blocked it before the money were stolen. And I kind of agree with you. For sure, we could, as an organization, implement some behavioral based detections, right? So again, depending on which device the user is using, which IP address is logging in from, so which region is logging in from, and other factors as well. Also understand, okay, maybe this is not the if I take all of these patterns, all of these identificator indicators, maybe this is not the same user that was connecting last time or just last week or last month. And uh, something they could have done was could have been something like, okay, let's block this login, send an email to the user and say, oh, is this you, right? We receive this kind of emails from many different services nowadays, and especially when we talk about something so valuable, like again, my savings, my money, my cryptocurrencies. That's surely what I would expect, right? At the same time, I would also understand, okay, maybe if I prevent the person to get access to their money, they could sue me for that reason as well. So it's a very tricky
always
industry,
trade up. Yeah.
right? So it depends. I don't know. Yeah, no, there's another topic that I really don't want to take right now. Like we have seen other exchanges that were not really, let's say, doing the best in the industry, permitting money laundering and stuff. I don't know about Coinbase so far, right? But that could be another reason why they do not really implement very strong security measures. But we don't know yet. So maybe this is not the case, and maybe this was just some sort of lack
Actually,
of
I'm not referring
capability.
only to this because I'm not in depth to the technical that what they are
Right.
doing at the background. I'm talking in general for all the
Yes.
organizations that when we provide services for the customers, we have certain level of responsibility. And for that responsibility, we should consider some sort of the basic security controls.
Yeah.
I
And
think this is where the next news will
yeah,
be
yeah. That's
highlighted. That's the importance of when we talk about the responsibility when we are holding the people data.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. And this can happen to any organization, any company,
Yeah.
in any industry, right? So it's just something that we should be able to do, right? Just looking at the behavior based detections. So that said, if that's okay for you, I will probably jump to the next news. Just a little reminder. So first of all, I'm sharing in the chat the links to the articles, so you can deep dive yourself on the news, do your own research, your opinions, and maybe you can let us know your thoughts after you read it. Even when the live will be finished, definitely I encourage you to comment the video and let me know what are your thoughts, and maybe if you think something different than what we are saying, because definitely At least I can be wrong for sure, right? I want to learn from someone who knows more than me. So if you say that you think something is different than we are saying, please let us know. And once again, I see some, 5 to 10 people watching the live. Thank you for that. If you're, if you like this, if you're enjoying this, please consider maybe subscribing to the channel so that you will be notified for the all the next videos, and consider also looking at the previous 20 and more episodes. I had plenty of very awesome guys and people as guests, and hopefully I will have a lot more in the future. Maybe Mason again, if I bother him again in the future, we will see. So far,
I
let's
like to be bothered in that way.
that's cool. That's cool. I'll take note. you know. Um, okay, that said, let's jump to the third news here. I will pass the link again in the chat in a second, but let me introduce it first. So this is talking about an investigation by Europol. Okay, uh, that basically was notified by an unnamed cloud provider. Okay, we don't know which one, but it's apparently it's a decently big one. That a series of accounts were compromised on that cloud platform, and eventually the attacker, which gained access to it, um, uh, you know, gained some admin privileges and used that kind of privileges to create. They say a million a million machines, so a million hosts that were all mining cryptocurrencies. So I know it. Apparently, it's all about cryptocurrencies. This episode, it was not made on purpose, but it's just what they do. It's the best way they can make money, right? That cybercrime can make money. So basically, they created this million machine, and they put all of this to mine. So basically, to generate those cryptocurrency, and eventually they gained something like a $2 million worth of cryptocurrency with this attack right here. And I think this we don't have many details about how it happened, where it happened, and so on and so forth. But I think it's very interesting to see like how this happened, and why they didn't found out about this. I don't know if that makes sense, right? Um, a million different virtual machines in your own cloud environment, right? That were not there before because they say they created it on purpose, and that's a lot if you think about how much you're gonna pay monthly that cloud provider, right? So a cloud environment is something that you pay per use most of the time, right? So the more machines you have, the more CPU processing you do, and the more you pay, usually on a monthly basis as an organization. The fact that someone goes in there and suddenly creates a million different machines, and they're all using their CPUs at full capacity to generate those cryptocurrency. This should alert you immediately, at least for the money you are using for just using the cloud platform, right? I don't know. It's interesting how they can be undetected with something like this, but it happens, and it says a lot on the current state of the industry. If you don't if you know what I mean. What do you think?
So this exactly something that sometimes surprise me, even with many of my clients here. So while we are talking about sophisticated attack, AI-based data, I don't know, big data solutions for cybersecurity, we are still suffering from the basics, and that's the real pain in this industry. As you said, this is nothing some like rocket science. This is a very minimum baseline analysis that the cloud provider is technically based on the pay per use, and then suddenly you can see the increase in the spike of the use of the resources, and then Even a simple volumetric, I think, analysis should relieve this. But the point is that I think all of these things issue is because of the scoping. We don't have the proper scoping for monitoring. We do have monitoring in the place, but what we monitoring is another issue. Is that are everything, all the assets are under the our monitoring umbrella or not? Most of the cases, most of these issues happen because of the unattended, unknown assets and processes that we may not even exist of their may not even aware of their existence. They are not necessarily inherited the security of the parent security, and they are not even under monitoring radars. So, and that's lead to this kind of the issues. So that's why we said, seriously, it was simple. It can be easily detected. Yes, we can protect only what we know. But what if we have no idea about what is going on in our environment? That's why knowing ourselves, knowing our environment, I think is a key a factor in every cybersecurity strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. Like what really drives me crazy is the fact that even if you are not really monitoring your cloud environment in this case, right? Eventually, you'll got how do you call it? A request for a payment from the cloud provider, right? uh, you really have definitely to understand that there's something wrong with that amount if someone is using your cloud environment. So maybe it's not the best way to know about it, for sure, right? We want to be aware of maybe the user compromise at the first place, right? Maybe of the fact that it's actually specified in the article that they gained access brute forcing the access. So once again, it means that they were able to do it. It means that maybe MFA was not there, right, to prevent the kind of attack. And if it's not clear, brute force means just that you are trying so many different combination of passwords for the same user until you eventually get to the right one. So just the fact that they were able to do it already says a lot on the configuration of their platform. But yeah, it's just very interesting to see how big this was and how they didn't get it at the first place. Now there's
Yes, the problem is that nowadays we mainly focus on the anomalies. Okay, detect anomalies, do the behavior analysis, identify something which is not usual, but we should come one step back before we can able to detect anomalies. We should define what is the norm.
yeah,
That's why this is
that's right.
something that I always tell to my client and to myself: understand your environment, at
Mm,
least monitor, not on that depth, in the some reasonable certain level, that you know what is defined as a normal in your environment. And then
yeah.
any deviation from that should becomes under we should goes under monitoring. Any deviation from what we define as a normal.
Yeah, that's really really true. I
Mhm.
also face the kind of issue in my daily work, but I also understand that's really difficult as well, right? Because the bigger is the company, the bigger is the organization, the the more difficult it is to define what's normal, because you have so many different employees, you have so many different maybe offices and units. Maybe if you are talking about a multinational company, you have also different sites in different countries. So I also understand that it's a big challenge. I agree, you should do that, right? But definitely the bigger is the company, the more difficult that is.
Exactly, exactly. But again, we are not aimed as having 100% security, but at least we
Absolutely.
should do something.
Sure.
Yeah,
Every effort is aiming
exactly.
to increase the bar at least a little bit,
Mm,
right? And it's just
yeah.
better than before. Now there was an interesting question in the comments here by Nothing Secure. So how is law enforcement tracing and recovering Bitcoin payments? Now maybe this was related to the previous news. Now the thing is that in this specific case, so in the cryptocurrency mining news that was got from Europol, it was the cloud provider itself which found out something was wrong. Okay, So not the customer, not the customer who was affected, but the provider itself. So let's say it's not this case, but maybe it was AWS, maybe it was Azure, maybe it was Google Cloud. They contacted law enforcement and said, something is wrong here. Maybe we should do an investigation together so we can, block this. But also, of course, the goal from law enforcement is actually to catch the bad guys, so they will stop doing bad things, right? Also later, in the previous news, where they found out about the specific address, Bitcoin address in the blockchain that was owned by the attackers. It's in my experience, it's mostly about tracking the transactions on the blockchain itself. So as we said, the blockchain is something that lets you be anonymous, so you will not put your own name and address when you open let's say your account, your address on it. But everything that is happening on the blockchain is traceable. Okay, every transaction, every time you move some information or some cryptocurrency from an address to the other, is there, is public, is open for anyone to read. Now, there are companies and there are law enforcements as well who are doing that as a daily job, right? See, anytime there's a big movement of money from one or more address to another one. In that way, they can, they can trace the money and eventually use maybe some other correlations with the third parties to understand who's behind the address. So I hope that answered the
And
questions.
so, having said that, it's not completely anonymous, but finding the details is very challenging, considering it needs a very complicated legal cases, a very close coordination with many parties. Is not as easy task that we say, okay, this
Yeah.
is the step that they can easily do. That is really complex procedure.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially once again when multiple countries are involved, right, and multiple law enforcements from multiple countries are
Mm.
involved. It's not like I can do everything by myself. I need to contact that other unit. I need to contact and to work together with many different both private organizations and public administrations and law enforcement. So it's very difficult, and that also the reason why it takes so much time to do it usually, right? So I really
I think
hope
is
that answered the question.
it can be considered that that kind of rules that only applicable in the lab environment, not
Yeah,
really practical in the real world.
yeah, exactly. It's not like, okay, law enforcement are doing this and I can do this by myself. It's
Yeah.
definitely not doable most of the time. You can do a little, work, like laboratory work, to understand it better. That's cool. That's okay. Actually, do it if you like, so you can develop some knowledge. But to actually trace someone usually takes a lot of efforts, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of time also. Um, okay. So another very little topic that I think we could briefly talk about regarding this news is the fact that um, you know not only the attacker that is doing uh, cryptocurrency mining addressing your environment is basically using your own power, right? So the fact is that they're going to use your servers, they're going to use your computers and your devices to generate that money. And to do that, they're going to use most of the capacity of those devices CPU. So it means that we'll also struggle to use them for any other related or unrelated job. Okay, so let's say that your users are going to struggle just doing their daily jobs because someone else is mining cryptocurrency from their laptop. So that's the first kind of problem that this kind of attack will cause on your environment. The other thing is that using a lot of CPU also means that the computer or the server will consume a lot more of energy, okay, just electric energy. And it means that not only if if you have something on premises, if you have your own data center, you're spending a lot more on the energy that is consumed, and on the cloud environment, like in this case, you're spending just a lot more to pay to that cloud provider, right? So the point is that you're not only losing working capability, let's say, because your environment will be less functional, but also you are losing money because they are basically make you spend for their own income, right? So there's this double damage that you are going to face, which is pretty interesting. And I'm saying this because I had some conversation, some discussion, maybe with some customers of mine, where they say, okay, maybe we found a crypto miner in a laptop. It's not a big deal. They're not blocking anything. What's the matter, right? there is there actually is a problem, and the problem can be huge, especially if that crypto miner is gonna infect all the rest of your environment. So you want definitely to detect it, and you want to block it where it is right now, and prevent it to spread into your environment, right? Because the more computers are doing that, the more money the attacker will eventually gain, right? So it's definitely on their goal.
So another thing that which is very important, I always share among the friend about the clients and with the student is that we should always concern about security, even if we think there is no direct impact on us. For example, I use this always as an example. Picture this: you just go to the shopping and buy the new laptop, nothing installed on it. You just connect it to your internet and leave it as it is. Still, the attackers interested to hack that machine because they are going to use the resources there and actually use your PC as a barrier between themselves and authorities. So when I said directly, maybe directly is not impact your resources, your financial or what anything, but if they use your resources to initiate attack about the others, you are the one who first face the first phase of the legal issues. And I don't think anyone want to have that headache. So then better be careful.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's important to what you to mention, because the point is that maybe today you detect about a crypto miner, right? But unless you really go there, take that malware and do some malware analysis, you don't know what that malware can also do later, or what the attacker can actually deploy later via their command and control, right? So maybe
Exactly.
they're just doing crypto mining today. Tomorrow they will spread into your environment. Maybe in 2 days they will start doing, I don't know, denial of service to a third party,
Ransomware.
or a ransomware, of course. But the point is that there are many different options. You will
Mhm.
not know from the very beginning what's the final goal of the attackers, right? Or if they will pivot to something else. So if we see something bad, just go and block it. Do not think about, no, this is not that bad, I don't want to block my server because of it. Yeah, you want to block it, because otherwise there will be much worse consequences, maybe in few days or in few hours, right? So it really depends. um okay. uh so what do you think? Should we jump to the final news of
I
this
think
episode?
yes. Yep. Because that's interesting news also. Sad and
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, just have an issue here with, of course, I didn't pay my my wallet
Yeah. I think there should be
subscription, but
another link
yeah. So
because
anyway, I don't think it's a big deal, because I remember what it talks about, right? So the point here is that, and this is a very big news in my point of view, right? um, so this time we're not talking about an attack, let's say, or just not about um, uh, not an attacker that is breaching a company or something, but we're talking about research from security researchers, which found out about uh, third-party service provider, right? Which works with many different, actually thousands of schools in the US, but also around the world, and is, for what I understood, basically storing data and documents for them, right? It's kind of some kind of a cloud storage provider. Now the point is that this researcher found out that um, some of this storage, some of these buckets, some of these, let's say, maybe databases or something, were actually exposed for a certain amount of time to the public internet, meaning that anyone searching for that, or just searching something correlated, could have found it and accessed the documents and read all the documents, maybe just maybe downloaded some or all of them. Okay, now this could seem like some we read a lot of this type of things. We hear about a lot of these things, and usually, most of the time you read about something like this, it's always related to okay, the privacy of the users, because there's my data in there, there's my name, there's my address, maybe there's my ID or something else, and that's for sure a big deal, right? It's definitely a big deal. Now I just think this is on a totally different level, because the kind of documents that were stored on those on for that from that provider was containing not only information about the students, the staff from the school, and also a lot of third parties that are working with the school, or just the parents of the students, and so on and so forth. But also a lot of procedures about what to do in case of emergencies in those schools, right? And we're talking about how to escape from the school if anything wrong is happening, where do you're going to hide in case something wrong is happening, people that are that are considered like a risk for the school, or the students, right? Maybe someone who had a past of some kind of actions that could be harmful for the students, and so on and so forth. So the point is that, unfortunately, we know about a series of events that happened in the US, but also can definitely happen somewhere else, where some people are targeting schools, and maybe you have some sort of attacks that could address and target schools as well. I mean, physical attack, not only cyber attacks, which is pretty concerning. And the fact that someone or anyone on the internet could know in advance where those students will going to hide, or where are they going to escape, or even there was some details about, okay, this security camera is not working, or this door is not closing correctly, right? So you can also find out about the vulnerabilities, the physical vulnerabilities of that specific school. It's very concerning to me, and I think it's probably should be for anyone else, right? So there were a lot of very sensible data that they were public. Now the provider is saying that they did some investigation, and then they found out that no one accesses those files before they actually closed the access. But unfortunately, in my experience, the point is that you will never know until someone will actually exploit those same information. Now we could talk about, for sure, the implication of that kind of data that were published, and we of course could try to talk about why did that happen. No one did exfiltrated that data. Those data were already there in public, and why that even happened, right? So once again, what's your first thoughts about this?
So I think this is not even considered as a cyber attack, right? Because the data publicly available on the internet, and anyone with the internet can has the access with or without authorizations. So this
Yeah.
is because of the lack of the security measures. Actually, they left the data unintentionally available for the publics. And of course, the main risk there is a data exposure, when the all the people can access to the data or even download the data. and not necessarily everyone has a good intention. This data could be used for the identity theft, could be used for the financial scams, could be used for the blackmailing, any competitive advantage. Like they can sell this to the businesses, because one of the records that really me make the more concern is the what you call at-risk students, those who under the protection for any reason or have some kind of the medical information, and these are, I think, super duper uh, sensitive information. That's why earlier I said, when we provide some services to the users, when we collect this sensitive data from the users, we have certain level of the responsibility. So we can't just simply put them in the open access data without any monitoring, without using any security control, any authentication, any encryption, and any regularly monitoring, and wait until something happen. So in this case, the good things is that the guy who identified this is one of the white hackers who immediately informed the the authorities to take action. But the challenge is that no one knows for how many days, months, or years the data have been there and who actually access to them. So this is where that is alarming, and I think all the schools should be ready for the consequences.
Yeah, not only that, you mentioned a couple of things there, like we should be accountable, we should be, concerned about this. Now, who's we? What I mean is that in this case we have the schools, right, who owns the data. Okay, these data are from the schools itself. Then we have the service provider, right, who owns the technology and the storage, who is storing the data, and eventually, which it was them who published or just misconfigured, let's say, the technology to public the data. On the other hand, we also have, and this could be a little of an, if you want, an ethical topic, the researcher, right, who found out about the documents. Of course, they did, the best that they could have done, like communicate to the right people and make sure that it was, fixed, so that the data was not there anymore. But I also was thinking the news goes into pretty much details about what kind of documents were there. Okay, there was this kind of document, there was this kind of document. They did not publish any sensible information, right? But the types of documents let me think that they actually went in there and read a lot, right? Okay, I understand you're doing this for, let's say, a good purpose, because you want to communicate to the provider. But did you really have to read all of it, right? And maybe also let the world know that there are all of those information in there. What
I
I'm
don't
saying
think
is that,
actually they read all, because I read the article from the main author who find it, and they
okay,
never said that they access to all and they read all. They said just partially. Actually,
okay,
this is part of the investigation. So we, as a threat hunter and incident responders, we see a lot, and this is part of the job, because we have to read to the certain level to realize, oh,
sure,
damn, this is something serious. I think this is actually happened in this case. They not intentionally go and read, they partially find the information, and they start investigating until the point they realize, oh, okay, this is something serious and we have to ring. And this is part of the process. We can't avoid that, because we have to read in order to identify the risk.
right? And I agree with that, right? I just like the uh, to talk about it, right? Because maybe for
Mhm.
someone there, it's not that clear, right? That this
Mhm.
time was not really an attacker, was someone that was doing this for their own security research tasks. So okay, let's say that from the security researcher perspective, this was actually a good intention, right? They did this with a specific purpose. Now we have the schools themselves, which are just giving their data to a third party, and maybe, and again, I'm doing the devil's advocate here, maybe they are not really ensuring that the provider is doing the best to secure their data. Okay, so what about that? or is it's all fault of the provider, we should take care of the configuration and that's all? I mean, there are all of these parties involved, and it's not always that clear who is accountable for it.
So that's why we said the security is everyone's responsibilities. See, I cannot just simply come to you and say, "Can you keep my phone for a while?" And then if something happen, I come and put all the blame on you. This is
Yeah.
my responsibility also to check beforehand that are you a reliable person to actually have that credit to hold my sensitive things. So this is the entire process that even when we are why we have like vendor assessment, vendor security assessment, third party security assessment. These assessments are implemented are there, but we are not implementing it in the right way. So there are a lot of practices that we can do when we want to engage a third party to make sure that they have a certain level of the understanding, awareness, and practices of the cybersecurity. So again, something that really shocking in the news that you choose for this episode is that majority of these things were not a rocket science. Like a sophisticated, dedicated attacker has no life, in the dark web with the hoodies and dark room. No, it was just misconfiguration, simple error, human error, something that can easily be prevented.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, most of the time it's like that, right? Most of the time it's
Yeah.
actually, a very easy way, attackers had access to the environment. We talked about brute force. Brute force is a very, old
Mhm.
thing. Most of the time during other episodes we talked a lot about phishing and via email, which is one of the oldest technologies we are using nowadays. And that's once again, I think we should all be aware of that. That's the first step. I
At the
know
same,
that I know that as security practitioners, we like to deep dive in the latest technologies and in the latest, exploits and type of attacks that are very, very high hand and very fancy. Sometime, but the point is that when we are actually doing our daily job, we should be aware that most of the attacks, most of the breaches out there are caused by the very, very easiest thing, just
basics.
because they are
Yeah.
the most difficult to address, right? I'm not saying that we are all a bunch of stupid people because we are not able to do that. The point is that it's actually difficult when you have a very huge cloud provider to handle all of the configuration. And maybe I'm sure that the fact that the data in this case was published was some kind of mistake. They didn't do it on purpose, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
they know they have sensitive information that they have to prevent the public to get access to. So it definitely was a mistake. Now the thing is that still it's a very bad thing that this happened, right? And the point is that once again that bar should be improved. So we should learn a lesson from from this event, and maybe the provider should implement stronger audits or controls on their admins to ensure they are configuring everything good. Maybe the schools should implement some controls on their providers, right? So they can ensure their data is also secure. And maybe if I need to include the security researcher as well, maybe I could have some sort of bug bounty program that incentivate people to try to exploit my environment and let me know instead of breaching me, right? Instead of exploiting me, let me know what I can do better. So there's always something that we can understand, learn, and
Exactly.
improve.
So what I try to say is that I'm against something that I call popcorn security. Popcorn
Okay.
security means that we just sit back, enjoy our popcorn until something happen, and then we start thinking what to do. So we should be proactive. We should really be proactive. Go and check. For example, when we want to get a third party or vendor, proactively ask them, have they done any security controls? What is their measure? At least there is some checklist. At least it's better than nothing. Not just blindly trust any because they are cloud provider, because they are service provider, because they are cheap, and which is very important one. We just use them
Yeah.
because some damages are really critical. it can be easily just mitigate and controlled.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely agree with you. And
Mhm.
just to add to that, most of not most of the time, but many times, it's not only the fact that maybe that provider is cheap, but it's also, oh, this is the provider that everyone is using, right? So I'm assuming that if I'm handling a very little school, I'm gonna be okay what all of the other schools are using, right? So it's going to be a no-brainer because everyone is using that, so I'm going to use that one as well. Maybe I cannot even choose about it. Maybe it's something that the government is pushing me to. Okay, do you have to use this provider for some reason? I don't know how it works specifically in every country, right? So uh, yeah, once again, I'm aware that it's not always that easy, but if you can do something, if you can check something, if you can do a little more, right,
Yeah,
definitely you should do it in
exactly.
any
Because
case.
I'm agree with you. Sitting here in my room under the aircon with my nice camera and microphone and give the advice for cybersecurity is
Yeah,
very easy. But
right,
when it comes to the action, to the real practice, a lot of challenges is there that we may not aware of that. That's the
absolutely.
issue. So the digital transformation rapidly accelerated, especially after the pandemics. Everything goes digital communication. A lot of vendors come, go shadow IT. We acquire another company. There are a lot of blind spots. But as you said, still we better do something, even though it's small.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And one last thing, of course, as you mentioned, this is not about us saying what's good and what's bad or what you should do and you're not doing. It's about having a conversation so we can all learn something as individual, as security practitioners, or maybe just as people who are interested in the field, right? Because there's a lot which I learned, specifically reading the article first and then talking with Mason and with you guys, and maybe someone who is watching this or will watch this in the future does not have my same knowledge and my same background just because maybe they are fresh out of school and they are learning something that they can maybe start to apply tomorrow. Okay, I'm not saying this is something that will make you ready for anything, but it's a very first block in your knowledge. At least it should be an input to once again do your own research, expand your knowledge, and maybe come back and teach us something. Maybe tomorrow. So maybe send me an email so I can invite you as a guest on one of the next episodes. So I will say this was really, really great. Thank you so much, Mason.
Thank you
It was
very
really,
much.
really insightful, and thank you everyone who has been here watching and listening to us. I've seen quite a bunch of people, so thank you for that. Once again, if you're like this, please considering maybe subscribing to the channel so you will be notified when the next episode will be published and will be live. I already have a schedule for a list of different, very, very awesome guests. So thank you once again. Thank you, Mason. And
Thank you.
see
Thank you very
you.
much. Thanks again for the opportunity. Really enjoy it. So look forward for the upcoming one.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe the next time that I will invite you once again.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you again. See you the
Thank
next
you.
time.
Thank you, everyone.